Oh. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo, Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat, Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri, Gurave Namaha, Shruti Smriti, Purananam, Alayam, Karunalayam, Namami, Bhagavatpadam, Shankaram, Lokashankaram. My pranams to all. Slowly open your eyes. So let us continue our contemplation on the text Tripura Rahasya. In the previous chapter, Bhagavan Dattatreya explains to Parashurama or answers the question that Parashurama puts forth about the world. Parashurama asks how consciousness is, how am I to understand or realize and see that everything is consciousness. Then Parashurama, Bhagavan Dattatreya explains to him. And we went through that teaching in the previous session. In this session, in the next chapter, the Parashurama listens to the logic of Bhagavan Dattatreya, of Vedanta, about how everything is consciousness. Now this chapter starts with a follow-up question. The follow-up question is, I have understood everything that you have said. It appeals to my mind. It seems logical. It seems correct. Okay. I'm not able to find any flaw in what you have said. But although I have understood it, that's not what I still see. I still see the world. It still appears real to me. Okay, not only me, he tells to me, and there are anybody who's intelligent or who is dumb, regardless of what is if it's an intelligent person or an idiot, the world still appears as real. So how am I to realize, how am I to understand whatever you have thought right now about the world? Okay. Is this a fair enough question, or any other questions from people who attended the last session? Soumitra?
Pranam Guruji, sorry, I just joined. Can you please repeat the last 30 seconds?
Yeah, so the previous chapter was about Dattatreya explaining to Parashurama how the world is consciousness. Okay. Now in this chapter, after the explanation, after the clarification and the Gana of how everything is consciousness, Parashurama comes with a follow-up question. He asks, I appreciate what you have told. I understand it. I have no questions about that. But although I understand it, still the world is real to me. Not only to me, there are so many other people, for the most intelligent of the intelligent, and even if it's a fool, this world still appears real. Okay, how do I resolve this issue? This is the question. Do you have any other questions based on the
Oh, yeah. I have a lot of questions. And similarly, I also have a question on the same ground. So I'm totally convinced. I totally absorb this thing that, yes, this is all illusion. But with respect to this consciousness or Parabrahman, right, what we say, my question is, as we have developed so far from a lot of years in science and medical fields or astrophysics, physics, whatever, quantum and all, so why are we not able to deduce this Parabrahman in a practical way which can be comprehended by a human mind? Or is it totally out of our comprehensions to frame it within the laws of this physical universe?
Okay. So I'll answer Saumitra's question first, then we'll come to Parashurama's question. So Parashurama's question is the explanation of the chapter, which I'll take up. It's also can be intertwined with the question that you asked. The question, if I understand correctly, is why, or there's supreme reality, Parabrahman. Parabrahman is a supreme reality. Why hasn't science or society or the world been able to capture Parabrahman, probably through scientific endeavors, bring it to perception so that everybody can easily understand? Is that the question?
Yes, just to expand a bit, just like everyone knows and understands very well that E is equal to mc square. So we understand that as a physics law and everything around it.
Yeah.
But for Parabrahman, why are we not able to deduce something like that so that our modern minds can probably interpret that?
Yeah. So the answer to that question is, it is like that. It is very simple. That's why the Shastras themselves tell, simplest thing on the planet is self-realization. Self-realization is very simple. In fact, any other subject is much harder. But the only problem that has happened here is why the question is arising is, you or I, or typically in the context that we're in, the taste, the flavor, the immersion into self-realization has not been a part of our day-to-day. See, what happened in India a very long time ago, before invasions and before things started deteriorating, India had an ecosystem of self-realization, okay, which made self-realization very simple. It's like this. The example is, there's an institution called IIT or MIT or Harvard. Okay. Now these institutions, they nurture a certain type of thinking. So it is safe to say that most people who graduate out of this institution are going to be great thinkers, or they're going to create something and be eventually wealthy, and they're going to be innovators. Is it safe to say that?
Yes.
That's because the institution, that ecosystem, nurtures that kind of thinking. So wherever they hear, if they go to a cafeteria, they see 5 people talking about a startup idea. If they go to just in the park and they're sitting in the bench in the campus, they get to hear some cases. If it's Harvard, this person, that, but they are constantly exposed to the highest and problem solving and innovation, critical thinking, systems thinking, right? All of these things that are learned in the classroom. So there's a classroom learning at its best with the mentors, and there's an offline learning. Correct? So there's a both in the classroom education and out of the classroom education. Now that is what India was for enlightenment. Okay, India had these systems called Gurukul. And the entry criteria to Gurukul, you know what is the entry criteria to Gurukul, Samitra?
Yajnopavita.
The young entry criteria into Gurukul is Brahmopadesham. The child gets Brahmopadesham, and then he or she gets entry into Gurukul. Now, Brahmopadesham is the highest teaching, Tattvamasi. What is it? What is the process of Brahmopadesham? The child is told, you are that, you are Brahman. Okay, the highest teaching is given, day one. And then starts Brahmacharya. It's called a phase of Brahmacharya. Now, Brahmacharya has been properly understood as celibacy. But Brahmacharya is, the child is given Tattvamasi teaching, and now the child immerses itself into Charya. Means the child's mind constantly moves in the listening, the Shravana, Manana, Nidhyasa of Atmagna. And also Aparavidya. So there are two types of Vidya taught in Gurukul. Paravidya, which is Atmagnana, and Aparavidya, which is all the other subjects. Now, in such an ecosystem, like how in the ecosystem of these great institutions that we know today, more and more great minds, thinkers, innovators are default. They're easily available. In the same way, enlightened minds are easily available in an ecosystem where this education system is prevails and is strongly practiced. Now, when that system is attacked and destroyed, then it becomes difficult. But in the modern day, it is all the more easy to revive the system. That's the beauty of the modern day, because it's much easier to understand Atmagnana with modern day examples. Okay, so for example, this text Tripura Rahasya is full of examples, it's full of stories. Like you heard the story of Hema Lekha and Hemachuda. And in the story, that Gnani, who is Hema Lekha, is again giving examples to help Hemachuda understands. Now, with modern day examples of virtual reality, of brain waves, of experiment done on brain waves, it is much more easier to understand the subject and realize Brahman. But the answer to the question that will it ever come under a scientific experiment, or will it ever be put will it ever be presented in such a form that can be easily grasped? That is also there. That is what Vedavyasa Maharshi did. So in science, when the scientists do a lot of research and they go through their journey, ultimately they extract out what is called a formula, correct? You give an example of a formula. E is equal to MC square. Same thing our rishis did, and same thing Bhagavan Vedavyasa Maharshi did. Have you heard of Vedavyasa Maharshi?
Yes.
So Vedavyasa Maharshi is it's called Veda Vyasa because he classified the 4 Vedas. He created this ecosystem that I was talking about. Okay, the ecosystem, the education system, formal education system, where it's easy to get in from the entry to the exit. The focus is on Atmagnana. And he also created an informal education system, which is offline through Puranas and stories. And whatever the scientists create as formula, the rishis gave us form. Okay, so we have the form of Krishna, the form of Shiva, the form of Ganesha. And all these forms are not arbitrary. Okay, all these forms are pointers to that which has no form. You start with the form and then you dive deeper and you decode the form and go to the formless. The forms still remain, but the process of decoding is this process of getting that spiritual education. Is it not there? It is there. Everything is there. Much more than what is there for understanding the world. Okay? It exists. But the problem is, because of the deterioration and destruction that happened, the one to decode that, which is called the Guru Parampara, that was lost in many places. Okay. Does it exist? Yes, it exists and it will always exist. It may not be mainstream. At one point of time, it was mainstream. Now it's not mainstream. The time when that becomes the aspirations of a bigger collective, then it becomes mainstream. Do you understand what I mean? It needs a tipping point. It's called a tipping point. Have you heard of a tipping point?
Yes.
So a certain mass of people on the earth have that same aspiration, interest, dedication, then that becomes mainstream. It is mainstream in certain parts of the world or in certain time and space. Like the biggest collection or meeting point of people in the world is what? Where the most number of people meet in the world?
Kumbh Mela.
Kumbh Mela. What is the aspiration of Kumbh Mela? Enlightenment, mukti.
Yeah, I mean self-realization.
The mukti. So the Kumbh, people come, so the highest number of people gather in that place for mukti. Okay. Now, what does that tell you? That is still there. Does that answer the question?
Yeah. So I take it like you have to go through the process to decode it basically. And it is not, I mean, even to understand E is equal to MC square, I have to go through a sequence of education. Similarly, I have to go through that experience to understand it, probably. That's what my takeaway is.
You just have to plug into that ecosystem.
Yeah, that's
all. So you plug into, like, you want to be an entrepreneur, you start hanging out at the cafes where entrepreneurs hang out. You start, becoming friends online and offline. So there's an online system, there's an offline system, right? So you have to plug in. In isolation, nothing will work. So that plugging in to the system is called satsang. Satsang is a place where Sat is discussed. One Sat is discussed and one where Sat is there. There's a realized person, and the constant focus and the interest, desire, aspiration, thirst is Sat.
Yeah.
It is there. It has always been there from time immemorial, because that is a fundamental desire of a human being to become free from suffering and to experience infinity, to get infinite happiness. The moment you start looking for it, you start seeing it. Let's say somebody it's not mainstream. Somebody, by some accident, grace, comes across it. Okay, when they do, if they do get aligned, then it unfolds to them in many ways. Okay, and that doesn't take time. And if they have the fortune of being in the right ecosystem, then there's immense learning that happens, which could not be learned in lifetimes, becomes available in a very short span of time. I'll give you my own example. I had no clue about all of this. Okay. And by divine grace, I met a realized master. And the second meeting that I had with this person, with Prabhuji, he told me there is no word. World, there's no word, there's no other, there's no word. Then there's a dialogue, there's an interaction, question and answer. And after 1 year of being with him, listening to the teaching constantly, associating with the satsang, he asked me to start teaching Bhagavad Gita. Now, I have never opened the Bhagavad Gita. I don't even know what is there in the Bhagavad Gita to teach it. But suddenly, when I start teaching, the text and its contents and its essence are revealed. Okay? That is the descent of the grace. That is it's not extraordinary, it's not a miracle. That's what happens in ecosystems like IIT or Harvard. Okay, somebody who has that desire and has understood, has a craving, they want to ideate, they want to become a billionaire. Suddenly something clicks. They get an idea which they hold on to, and if that reciprocates with the market needs and the user needs, it starts growing. Same thing happens here, but in the case of realizing your own self. Is it clear, Samitra?
Yes.
Next question.
For now, it is. I mean, we can move. I'll ask later on.
So Bhagavan Dattatreya, Parashurama asked Dattatreya, I have understood what you have told me, but I don't see it that way. I still see the world. How do I resolve it? Now, Bhagavan Dattatreya gives further explanation of how the world that you see is unreal and how consciousness is the only reality. The world that you see, in the dream, when you have a dream, you see a dream world. Okay. Now, where did the dream world come from? Let's say you had a dream and you went to Paris. Where did the Paris come from? The Paris in the dream is an impression of the Paris that you had seen in the waking. So dream is nothing but you had some exposure in the waking state. You saw the mountain, you saw the sky, you saw the world, you saw people, you saw places, you saw physical objects, and you also saw mental objects. You have your hate, your emotions, your desire, your fear. Let's say in the waking state, you had a deep fear. Okay, so there's a recession happening. What if I lose my job? Okay, that's a constant fear, let's say. That's a mental object. There's a physical object, there's a mental object. There are two impressions. There is a physical impression, the object impression of the physical world, impression of the mental world. Is it clear? Mental world, physical world, two impressions are there. Now the same impression, when you go into a dream, the impression of the physical world becomes another physical world that you can touch, taste, smell, perceive. Because when you're in the dream, it is not a dream world for you, it is a physical world. And what is the source of that physical world? Is the impression of the physical world. You understand? And even the mental world carries forward. So if you had a fear in the day, during the daytime, when you go into sleep, that is, you start experiencing that. Maybe you lose your job there, or maybe you get a promotion there. Okay, you have some other fear, desire. You deeply desire something in the waking state. It doesn't happen. Then you get it in the dream state. Okay, typically it happens more a lot with children. The children, if they have a deep desire in the waking state, maybe there's a contest and they want to win the prize. Now, they don't have limitations on in the waking state that I cannot win. They only have the desire. They might not work for it, but they have an intense desire. Now, for them in their dream, they start seeing that reality. That impression that did not get fulfilled in the waking starts getting fulfilled in the dream. In a way, that's helps the human mind to be sane. If that expression was not there, called fulfillment in the dream, then there would be much built up anger and emotions in the waking state. So Dattatreya explains to him, whatever you see in the dream is nothing but your impressions of the waking state. Is it clear? In the same way, whatever you see in the waking state is only an impression that you're seeing. No impression, no world. And you only see a world of your impressions. You don't see more or you don't see less. What impression you have is what you see. Any doubts in that? So the poor man has an impression of poverty, and that is what he sees. A rich man has an impression of wealth, abundance, and that is what he or she sees. What impression you have is what you see. So you have an impression of Atmagnana, of Satsanga, and that is what you experience. The impression creates the experience. Now, what creates the impression?
Past experiences.
Programming.
Huh?
Past
Programming.
experiences.
The past experiences cause the impression. It is not the past experience. The past experiences cause the impression, but those experiences stay as impressions because of ignorance. There's a deep-rooted ignorance in you about yourself and the world and Jiva, Jagat, and Ishvara. So this ignorance, this no right knowledge creates impressions. And the ignorance is there because of a deep-rooted belief that there is something other than me. Do you understanding? The root of experience, perception, is belief. So what you believe is what you perceive. I'll give an example. So you have the Oculus, right? The VR headset. Samitra, following?
What was it again? Last sentence?
The VR headset, Oculus.
VR, okay. Virtual reality. Yeah.
Virtual reality, okay. Have you tried it?
Not really.
Okay, Veena, have you tried a headset?
Yeah, I've tried.
You tried. Okay, what did you try? What did you see in that?
No, it was a very basic thing. I think in one PVR or something I tried. So it's a experience of a three-dimensional.
3 dimension.
Yeah.
Shantiji, have you tried?
No, I haven't tried VR. I have tried the 3D glasses in a theater. Yeah, but not the VR.
Okay. So the VR experience is something very unique. It is an input to the senses of a world that doesn't exist, but appears. And in that space appears, objects appears. Okay. Somebody who's wearing the headset sees something. Let's say they're on top of the mountain. Suddenly, if there's some dragon or something that comes, the person wearing the headset gets startled. Okay. If the headset is showing that you're on top of the mountain, this person knows he's on the floor, he's on the flat floor. Like, for example, Bina, if you're in that mall, you're wearing the headset. In the headset, you see that you're on top of the mountain.
Yeah.
If somebody shakes you, you feel as if you're falling down.
Yeah, I felt it. Yeah.
You felt it. Huh?
Yeah.
When you know it is not real, okay, you know that I cannot fall down, I'm not at a height, I'm standing flat on the ground. Okay. Why does that happen? When you know it's not real, why do you still react to it?
Because there's a past impression of a fear of height or maybe falling down.
First thing is, what you see, the sense perception momentarily deludes you. Okay,
Yeah.
momentarily, even though you know it's not real, there's an immediate reaction from the body mind, because there's a deep, like a delusion, small delusion that happens. What if it's real? Okay, momentarily you start believing that it's real, and that belief makes you forget that it's unreal, and the forgetfulness of that it's not real causes your experience, your reaction. In the same way, the world that you see, first is there is a sense input. The sense input first deludes, creates a delusion that something other. Okay, but that something other is perceived and is reinforced because of a belief that there is something other. And when that belief came, we don't know. When this belief happened that there is something other than me, that's a question that cannot be answered. But the root, Bhagavan Tattva says, is the root of your experience, your perception, is a deep-rooted belief that there is something other than me. For a person who doesn't have this belief that there is nothing other than me, what is life? The person who doesn't have the deep-rooted belief that there's nothing other than me, or has the belief that I am connected to everything, life is very, very different. So suffering in life is not the world that you perceive, the perception. Suffering in life is the belief that you have. True or false? Suffering in life is the unverified, examined, and practically they're not illuminated. Don't come to your conscious sight at all. Okay? They don't come to your conscious understanding, what the beliefs that you carry. And these beliefs run your life. And the typical example given is, there's a person who goes to the zoo. In the zoo, he sees two elephants. There's a giant big elephant, and there's a baby elephant. The big elephant is tied, one leg of it is tied with this tiny rope. Okay. But the small elephant is tied with a metal chain, a very heavy metal chain. Then this person asks, why is this so? Why is the difference? It should be the other way around. The big one should be tied with the metal chain, the small one should be tied with the rope. You know why it's the other way around? Pramitra?
It is in the mind.
How?
I mean that there is an analogy which I saw on social media that a horse is tied to a plastic chair, right? I mean, that plastic chair can be moved even by a flick of air, but the horse thinks that he's tied to something solid.
Yeah, why does a horse think that like that?
Because of the past experiences.
Yeah. So, and this is a real scenario. This is not an example. This is a real case. If you actually go to these camps or places where there's an elephant, you will literally see it that the baby elephant is tied with a metal chain and the big elephant is tied with a small head. And the giant elephant, it doesn't move. It believes that it cannot. Okay. Why does it believe? Because as a child, it is programmed to believe that it cannot break free from that metal chain. It puts its effort, but it fails. Then comes a time where it doesn't need the chain anymore. Now the chain has become psychological. The external shackle eventually becomes an internal shackle. When that happens, even the external shackle is removed, the capability of the elephant is cut or reduced because of the internal shackle. Now, this is baby elephant, which maybe has the potential to be a giant elephant, to carry some trees and break some, destroy some buildings, do some minimal damage. Now, what is the potential of a child, a human child? Compared to the baby elephant? Now, that potential of a child, which is infinite potential, creativity, and that's what you observe in children. When the child, so there's this movie called Harry Potter. Have you seen?
Yes.
The Harry Potter sits on a broomstick and he can fly. Okay. The broomstick, and that was plagiarized. That is the experience of most children. A stick they think is a horse or a magic broom. Okay. And when they think, it's not just thinking, they experience it like that. When the child is sitting on the stick, in the child's experience, it is sitting on a horse. Okay, that's its capability, mental capability. But that capability is completely shackled. So when the child grows up, when it's actually sitting on a horse, the experience is worse than sitting on a stick. Okay. When the adult is sitting on a horse, the experience of sitting on the horse no longer remains. There's so many other programs running that completely cover up that experience. Okay. Now, most of the time, whatever experience you have, it matters to people only how other people are seeing it, not what you are experiencing. That's why you see somebody go to any tool, you go on any beautiful place, if there are other human beings, they are only seeing the place through the camera. Okay, they're only concerned about how is my picture and video in this place, not experiencing the place. Have you seen that? Have you observed this?
Yeah.
So you go to a place, to experience the place, see the place is not priority. To tell people I am in this place is the priority. Okay, so what is happening to your experience? Your experience is getting constrained. So the elephant, which has immense power, is made to forget its own power. And when it forgetting its own power means creating a much lower quality of reality for itself and suffering for itself. So the suffering that you have, the quality of life that you have, depends on the belief that you carry. And the belief is deep-rooted. It's deep-rooted belief. And the whole point of Advaita and Vedanta is attacking the deep-rooted belief. What is the deep-rooted belief? What is the deep-rooted belief? That there is something other than me. Okay? As long as this belief is not pierced through with Gnana, the perception or life doesn't change. Any doubt? Now Bhagavan Dattatreya is attacking the belief. Okay? Because he's given Gnana. The Gnana is given. But Parashurama is saying, no, I still don't see the world as consciousness. So then there is a correction required. There's a further deep dive required. And this deep dive is going into the belief. And what belief you have creates your reality. So you change the belief, you change your reality. Any doubts so far? And what these beliefs are, we don't know. There's so many beliefs that underline. They're like underlying programs. Okay, they are the ones that are commanding our conscious life. You think consciously you are doing something in life. Okay, I'm moving, I'm speaking something, I have a relationship, I have a job, these are my finances, this is my body, and you think you're in control. Okay, you put it on the whiteboard. Okay, this is my health, this is my wealth, this is my portfolio, this is my family, this is me and this is mine. But this me and mine both are run by what is not seen, which is belief. Does it make sense? And the whole spiritual journey is identifying these beliefs that you carry. And you don't have to get rid of all beliefs. There are some fundamental beliefs which spirituality targets. And there are also certain beliefs that are disempowering in your life, that it targets. So freedom from disempowering beliefs and freedom from wrong notions about you, the world, and reality is mukti. So mukti is freedom from beliefs. And the freedom from belief starts with understanding that belief is unreal. The word belief means you're believing it, it's not real. Do you understand? The secret is in the name. That's why it's not called reality, it's called belief. Belief means what? I believe in God means what? Belief means there is something that I don't know. There is something that I have not verified for whatever reason, but I take it to be real. I have swapped my, I have given the place to something that is not real as real, simply because I don't know what the real. Or from day one, this is being told to me that this is reality. Can you give me an example of this, Samitra? Can you give me an example of such a belief that has been put into you?
There are many.
Give me one.
What did, sorry,
Huh?
sorry, was there somebody else?
Somebody told, the answer came from here is, there's a belief that education is required for success. Okay, that's true, or is it a belief?
It is belief.
It's a belief. So you tell me one belief that was programmed into you.
You have to meditate to get enlightenment.
You have to meditate. You have to meditate to get enlightenment. Okay, but prior to that, there is another belief. That belief you accepted because you have accepted another belief. What is that other belief that you have accepted? That this is still secondary. You
There
have
is
to
enlightenment.
meditate to get enlightened is still secondary. That is dependent on other fundamental belief. What is that?
There is enlightenment.
There is enlightenment. That is still dependent on one more fundamental belief.
That you're not enlightened.
That is
And they are
dependent on one more fundamental belief. That is depend on the belief of you, of me. What does that mean? That me is body. Okay? And that me is cut from all. That me that you speak about, the question of enlightenment and liberation and ignorance is only for human being. So there's a belief that I'm a human being, first. There's a belief that I'm this body. There's a belief I'm a gender, man or woman. Now, when you shake these beliefs, you are shaking your shackles. Okay? And the process of spirituality is not or nothing, no superficial activity. It is directly going to the root of your beliefs. Okay? Going to the root of the belief and slaughtering them and throwing them out. That is the job for Guru. That's why it's called Guru. Guru means one who destroys. What he destroys? These belief systems. So are you a human being? Pamitra?
No, I'm a conscious, I mean, soul consciousness, whatever you want to call it, right?
So the belief is,
Yeah.
the primary belief is that I am a human being seeking for enlightenment, seeking for a spiritual experience. But the reality is, I am a spiritual being having a human experience. Okay, but I've forgotten it. And what you believe will be your reality. So there was a guy called Charlie Chaplin. You know Charlie Chaplin?
Yeah.
So Charlie Chaplin came from he had a very impoverished past. He was very poor. He struggled. There was war at that time. Okay. But he had a great talent, and then he became famous. When he became famous, there was a Charlie Chaplin lookalike contest that some organizers organized. Okay, that means people, anybody can, it's like fancy dress. You come and the theme is Charlie Chaplin. You have to come dressed as Charlie Chaplin and perform on stage, and whoever is the best Charlie Chaplin gets the prize. Incidentally, Charlie Chaplin also participated as Charlie Chaplin. You know what position he got, what prize he got?
No, he lost, I guess.
Yeah, he got sixth place. So there were 6 people who were better Charlie Chaplins than he was. Why is that? That means there were 6 people who were able to act as Charlie Chaplin, better than Charlie Chaplin being the real Charlie Chaplin. Why? Because they're enacting. Because they know I am not Charlie Chaplin. I'm only pretending to be Charlie Chaplin. Okay, but for Charlie Chaplin, he is the real one. Okay, he doesn't have to pretend. But these people who are pretending, they push the boundaries. A new creative expression opens up. They can do a better Charlie Chaplin because they are not constrained by the thought, I am Charlie Chaplin. They don't have a shackle called, I am Charlie Chaplin. So that enables freedom of expression in them. There's a spontaneous creativity that happens. Okay. And most of these best-selling authors, what is that? Think and Grow Rich, or what is that? How to Make a Billion Friends, or How to Make $1 Million, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Harvard, IITs, MITs, all of them fundamentally teach what? Creative thinking. The ability to think in a new way. But you can only do that when you're free from your programs. So the shift in the thought that I am a human being, from the belief that I'm a human being desiring a spiritual experience. Spirituality, the teaching of spirituality is ulta. The spiritual Sanatana Dharma is ulta. Sanatana Dharma starts with the teaching that Amritasya Putraha. You are the divine. You are the divine, and that is why we worship the cow. We worship the cow because it has more than 3 crores devatas. Have you heard this? Have you heard this example? The cow has crores of devatas. Have you heard this, Gana? Soumitra, Shantiji?
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
The cow has crores of devatas is from a time when that number was the amount of people on the planet. The population, now the population of the planet is what, 8 billion. There was a time when the number, whatever the number was, they told that number as the number of devatas in the cow. That means they did not acknowledge human being at all. They said there are no human beings on the planet. There are only divine beings. This is the shift. When this shift happens, your suffering is gone. You suffer because I am human. But the moment you say I am divine, I am Atma, suffering immediately ceases. The mind becomes peaceful. The mind becomes loving. And the mind becomes capable of spontaneous creativity. So this is the very thing that Krishna is doing on the battlefield. Arjuna is shackled by his belief systems that are pulling him down. Okay, what are belief systems that are pulling him down? These are my relatives. How can I be happy by killing my relatives? Is a belief system. Krishna, through Bhagavad Gita, is destroying these limiting beliefs And when he destroys the limiting beliefs, Arjuna is now capable of fighting the war with spontaneous creativity. Okay? There's no guarantee that he will win the war, but at least he's a better performer now. He's freed from solidity, that reality is solid. Now he's become more fluid. In a more fluid reality, there are all sorts of possibilities. In the belief that I am separate from the world becomes solid. And every desire that you have, every endeavor that you have becomes a monument task. Okay? But somebody who has a belief that this world is one energy, it's one whole energy, that person achieves the impossible. Okay, somebody like example of Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, so we ordinary people, we take, if we have a desire, okay, let's say you're middle class and you have a desire, I want to have a house in Koramangala or Indanagar. Okay, for people in Dublin, I want to have a house in Greystone. Is that the right example, Soumitra Shantiji? Which is the most expensive?
Yes.
Dublin?
Yeah, I think that's one of the costliest posh areas. Yeah.
Right? Let's say you want to have a house in Greystone. To have one house, it takes a lot of effort. Right? A lot of effort, a lot of planning, a lot of financial planning, savings, investment, whatnot. Correct?
Yeah.
It's a monument task. It's a lifetime activity. Okay. There's this person called Srila Prabhupada who went to a different country. He's an ordinary person, probably even lower middle class. Actually, he was in poverty in India. He went to a different country and he built 108 glorious temples.
Mhm.
Not ordinary temples. Huge real estate. Okay, huge investment. Now, what is the belief system of this person? The belief system is, I am connected to Krishna, and for Krishna, nothing is impossible. That belief manifests as reality for him, and that's what he sees. And rather, that's what he creates. So, your belief creates your reality. Any doubts? So, the Guru, the Sadguru, is supposed to be someone who has become free from all limited beliefs and is able to look at you and help you do the same. Any doubts? So all the people that rule the world now, all the people that have experiences in life that others aspire for, are people who either came out of their disempowering beliefs or had the fortune of getting the right beliefs at a very young age. So where you are now, how you are now, is because of the beliefs that you were given at a young age. And why you were put into that place where you got such beliefs is because of a much deeper belief that you have. So instead of digging into all these beliefs, so there are two things. One is there is some disempowering belief that is causing trouble in my life. And then there's a root belief. Vedanta addresses both. The root belief that I am not separate from the world, and the disempowering beliefs. The addressing and both of these activities are a personal endeavor. It's a personal conversation with the master. So there was this master called Russian enlightened master called Gurdjieff. Okay, he had a beautiful technique, ancient yogic techniques that help disciples come out of their disempowering beliefs. So he identified that the disempowering belief that you have, the program that you have, has a program initiation date. Like you install the software in the computer, right? When you install the software, if you go into that file and you see the properties, it shows installed on, correct? The installed on date is there. Same way, in the belief, there is an installed on memory. It's a file that is kept in the memory, but most of the time, that memory gets buried. It doesn't come to the conscious mind, but it's retained in the subconscious mind. So he had tapped into the technique where you hold the memory that you have in your conscious mind and go deeper and deeper into it by recollecting again and again. Then it will lead you to the source file, to the installed on date. The day, the exact moment, time, place, person, situation where that disempowering belief got imprinted in you. Okay? Maybe some school teacher in the first grade told you that you are an idiot or that you will never be worthy in life. Okay? Now that belief has gone deep because the child is innocent. And you've forgotten that memory, you've forgotten that. But no matter what you achieve in life, you still feel as a failure. Okay? Why is that happening? Because that belief is still running. That you accepted that you will never amount to anything. So Gurdjieff helped his disciples come out of all of their disempowering beliefs like this. And not only did they get enlightened, they also became powerful people in the world. They also became very big politicians in the country, teachers, doctors, because their mind completely became free from the deeper belief that means practically they got enlightened and they were able to let go of all the limiting beliefs. Now, what is the limiting belief that you carry? You have to see that and go through the process of dropping that. And here, the focus is, this is Bhagavad Gita talks about belief. And now he's going to illustrate how belief creates reality and how you can become free through a story. I'll start the story now, but so far, any doubt, any questions?
No.
Soumitra, Gina, Kantiji, any questions?
No.
No questions.
Is the
Guruji.
role of belief clear in your life?
Yeah.
You are what you believe. Okay. Now, Bhagavan Datta tells a story. The story is of a king called Susena. There was a king called Susena who was the ruler of, he was an emperor. And the emperor was a ruler of a kingdom called Vanga. And one day he decides he wants to do Ashwamedha Yaga, Ashwamedha Yagna. Ashwamedha Yagna is a process where there's a horse. Ashwa means horse. There's a horse. The horse is sent, is left from the kingdom. And wherever it goes, okay, it carries a message. Either you have to become part of the kingdom, the king that sent the horse, or if you capture the horse, that kingdom will, you'll have to fight with that kingdom. And if you lose, you take over that kingdom. If you win, that kingdom becomes part of your kingdom. So this was a way that kings used to expand their kingdom. It's called Ashwamedha Yagna. So the horse does and the horse goes with an army. It does its journey and it comes back, and there's a ceremony. Now this horse is gone. It's gone across various kingdoms, and the army of Susena has defeated many kings, and the army has grown. Now it's a very huge army, more than 10,000 soldiers. Now they're en route back to Vanga. And at that time, the soldiers get tired. They come near a hermitage of a saint called Gana. There's a saint called Gana, an enlightened being, but he's in samadhi. He's in deep absorption. They come, they ask him some resources. They think he'll have some food. They can stay there, they can rest. But he's in samadhi, he doesn't respond. Now the soldiers are tired. First of all, they're tired, okay, and they're aggressive. They get impatient and they start abusing him. And among the soldiers are the sons of Susena, who are the princes, the prince. They're also there. They abuse and they shout and they abuse the saint. The saint is in tranquility, in absorption. His son, who is also a great yogi, he sees this, he gets enraged. Okay, he comes, he takes the horse, and there's a hill there. There's a hill called Gana hill, and he just walks into the hill. Okay, he walks into the hill with the horse. Then all these soldiers, they come, they're petrified, they've not seen anything. How can somebody walk into the hill? Okay, they don't understand. Then he walks out of the hill with a huge army. Okay, and there's a war between his army and the army of Susena. And this army is defeated, many people are killed, and so many prisoners are there. He takes the leftover prisoner, the soldiers as prisoners, and he walks into the hill again. So the horse and the prisoners of war, everything he takes into the hill again. Okay. And there are some people who escaped. They go and tell Susena the story or the observation. They said this happened. And Susena is not able to believe. He calls his brother Mahasena and he tells him, you go and please find out what's happening. And he tells him, he warns him, please be careful about these sages and saints, these yogis. They have many powers that we don't understand. So don't be very careful and find out what's happening. Mahasena comes. He finds Rishi Gana sitting in meditation. He prostrates, he sits down. He doesn't disturb him. He sits silently in front of him in reverence. And he sits for 3 days. Now, Gana's son is observing this and he's very pleased. He comes and he tells, I'm very pleased with your the respect that you've shown to my father. You please tell me what you want, I'll grant it. Any wish of yours, I'll grant. Tell me what you want, I'll give it to you. Okay, and he tells, don't think that I'm young, I don't have a capability, don't underestimate me. I have the highest of the highest yogic powers, and I can grant you any wish. Ask me what you want. Mahasena tells him, I want to talk to your father. That is my wish. So the son says that's not possible because he's going to be in samadhi for 12 years. And out of the 12 years, 5 years have passed. Another 7 years are pending. So 7 years he'll not open his eyes. He's in Kevala Nirvikalpa Samadhi. He will not come out. Then he tells, okay, but I have promised you. I cannot go back on my promise. For you, I will intervene and awaken him. So what he does, he closes his eyes, he does some yogic practices, and he enters his father's body and disturbs his meditation subtly. Okay. And he comes out. Now the father, Gana Rishi, opens his eyes. He opens his eyes, he sees Mahasena. He sees Mahasena and he's pleased to see him. He asks him what has brought him here. Mahasena tells him that we are doing the Ashwamedha Yagna and our soldiers are there. They were captured and they were defeated and captured by your son, and they're captives of him. Please ask him to release them. Then the father tells the son, oh, don't do all of this. It's not right. It is because of the kings that the yogis are able to live peacefully. Let them have their thoughts. Give it back to them. So the son agrees, okay, because it has come through the father. He goes to get them back. And this Mahasena goes to see, is it true that where he's getting it back from? And he sees the son walk into the hill again. He walks into the hill. After some time, he walks back. He walks back with the horse and with the army, with so many people, hundreds of people. Okay? All of them from the hill. They come out from the hill. And he's shocked. He's seeing it from his own eyes. Okay? He sees what kind of sorcery is this? He doesn't understand. It's very magical and mystical. And they send the horse back. They send everybody, the princes and the soldiers back. And he stays back. Mahasena stays back. And he asks Gana, how is this possible? What is happening? Okay. Then Gana tells the story, his past life, of what happened. So Gana was a king. He was an emperor. He was an emperor. And after some time, after ruling the kingdom, he was fed up. He wanted to realize himself. So he left the kingdom to his children. And with his wife, he moved to the forest. And in the forest, they practiced yoga and they attained Atmanana. But at some point, they had another child, this son that they have now. Now, this son, he always grew up in the forest. Later, he came to know that my father was an emperor. So one day, he came to the father and he told, you are a king. Even I want to be a king. Okay. So then the father understands the request. Okay. The child has an impression, a desire. The desire needs fulfillment. Okay, because because he's a Kshatriya. And the Kshatriya, there's the same thing that happens in Bhagavad Gita. Arjuna tells he doesn't want to fight, but his impression is fighting. So Krishna needs to give him a direction for his vasana to come out. Okay. So the father now has to give a direction for this vasana to come out. If it doesn't come out in the right way, it becomes something else. It becomes a distortion in the mind. Okay. Now the impressions are there. Now the impressions create desire, emotion, reality. They need some sort of fulfillment. Otherwise, they distort the mind. So there was this movie called Beautiful Mind. Have you seen A Beautiful Mind? It's a true story of this scientist called John Nash. And he's no ordinary scientist. He's a Nobel Prize winning scientist. Okay. But John Nash has a problem. He had a problem in real life. And the movie is based on his life. In real life, he starts experiencing he starts experiencing 3 people. He actually sees them. Okay, there's nobody there, but his mind projects these 3 people, and he starts talking to them. There's a small girl, he starts talking to her. There's somebody from the CIA who wants to hire him for the security of the country. So he sees it. He sees objects and people. He talks to them. Okay, that's the impression. That is the deep impression that is not fulfilled. It becomes, the mind gets twisted, and it becomes a disease. Okay, it becomes various psychological diseases. When it crosses a certain threshold, it becomes schizophrenia and things like that. Okay, but everybody has it, because there's no way all the desire that you have is fulfilled. You understand? You have some impression, you have some desire. The desire is because you think you're separate. Now you have desire, that all desires will not be fulfilled. Most of the time, most of the desire will not fulfill. Now the unfulfilled desire, where does it go? It has to go somewhere, right? It's a force. It's a force in you. That force in you, most of that force, not most, some part of that force is released in dreams. Okay? In the process of creation of the dream, in the process of experiencing dreams, it's released. I told you earlier that what you didn't get in your waking, you will get in your dream, or you will not get in. Some way you find an expression. It needs some expression. Then, if you are lucky, if you have it in your impression, if there is some expressional activity, expressive activity that you have, it will get released there. For example, somebody has a lot of desire, whatever desire for wealth, desire for fame, desire for whatever desire you have, and it's force, deep desire. But if that person is in some expressive field, like if they're a speaker or an artist or a musician or a teacher or a creator, sculptor, or any form of creativity, it gets released there. Okay, so art, expression, music, or even boxing, physical activity releases these energies. That is why after this activity, after the singing, after the painting, after the exercise, after the punching, you feel relaxed and elated. Have you observed that? Any creative activity makes you feel light. Okay. So that's why there's a new mode of therapy started called art therapy. So art therapy helps people let go of their emotional disturbances. There's a person called there's a person called Sigmund Freud, his disciple, Carl Jung. Okay, have you heard of Carl Jung? Carl Jung is the pioneer in psychology. So he used to do art therapy for his patients who have deep psychological disorders. And he found many of these activities like painting, simple activities like painting, help his patients become free from emotional trauma and disturbances. What medicines couldn't do, this expressive art forms could do. Okay, so the impression needs expression. If the impression doesn't get expression, what happens? It becomes suppression. And suppression distorts the mind and the body. It distorts the mind first, and eventually it becomes diseases in the body. So most diseases that we talk about are only suppressed emotions. that have started attacking the body. Any doubts? So, why I'm saying this is, Gana doesn't want to do this to his son because he's a wise man. He wants to give him his impression and expression. So he teaches yoga and various higher, and when I say yoga, please don't think what you popularly known as yoga right now. These are all very advanced techniques. Okay. He taught him that, with which he was able to create a world in the hill, and there he became a king. So in the hill there is a kingdom, there is a world. In that world, this son of Gana is the king, and he rules there. He's a king. He has an army, he has a kingdom, everything. Okay, and this is the explanation that Gana gives. Mahasena is shocked. How is this even possible? I want to see it. Is it real? I want to see. Or is it just a trick? So he asks, can I please see it? Then Gana tells the son, okay, please fulfill his desire. Take him, show him around, show him inside the hill, and bring him back. Then the yogi's son, Gana's son, takes Mahasena to the hill, and he walks into the hill. But Mahasena is not able to go into the hill. If he tries to go, the object is colliding. So he shouts out, I'm not able to come in. Please come, help me. Then the son comes out. He tells, you don't know how to come inside? He tells, no, I don't know. It's very simple. Just drop this body. You can't come with this body. Drop this body and come with your subtle body. Come. This Mahasena says, I don't even know how to do that. If I do something like that, I'll probably die. Meaning the idea of dropping the body, the only notion that I have is suicide. So the only way I can drop this body is if I kill myself. But then I'll die. Then the son says, no, there is a way. I'll teach you. So then he teaches him some practices. And he enters into Mahasena's body, takes his subtle body, and goes into the hill. Inside the hill, Mahasena sees a whole universe. Not only one universe, multiverses. Okay, he's giving him a tour. And he tells the son of the sage, please don't leave me, I'm getting scared. Okay, if you leave me, I'll probably get lost in this world. I have to go back to my world. So please don't leave me. The son says, don't worry, I'll handhold you through all the journey. So he takes him, he shows the kingdom. And none of it is mental fabrication. It is actual, it's real. He's able to touch, feel, smell. He's able to interact with the people. Okay, the people bow down to the king. He's able to see the army. Then he says, okay, this is the bhuloka of this world. Then he takes him to other lokas. There are 7 lokas above and 7 lokas below. He takes him to all the divine lokas. Okay, and in the divine loka, this the sage's son is Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwara. He is the god in the world. He is Brahma, he is only Vishnu, he is only Maheshwara, he is only all the devatas. He shows him. Then he takes him to the dark worlds. He shows him all these worlds. Okay, he gives him a tour. And Mahasena he doesn't know what to think. Because this experience is a mind-blowing, concept-shattering experience. And all of it is real. He tells, I have seen enough. I want to go back outside. So Mahasena says, okay, sorry, the son of the sage says, come, let's go back. They go back. When they go back, and it's a completely different world outside. Where his gross body was left. When he goes back to his gross body, Now he comes back. He doesn't recognize this world is completely changed. The buildings are different. There was a forest here. There was a hermitage here. Nothing is there. There's some big structures have come up. There's some people who he doesn't. They speak different. They are dressed different. It's a completely different world. Okay, and he's asked, what? Where have we come? Have we come to another world? Then he says, the son of the sage says, we have crossed 12,000 years. We have come 12,000 years ahead because you spent one day inside the hill. One day inside the hill is equal to 12,000 years in your world. The 12,000 years have passed and you're coming back. So all your brother is gone, Susena is gone, that Ashwamedha Yagna, everything is over, everything is gone. But my father is there. Gana Rishi is there because he's a yogi and he's alive. Let's go meet him. On hearing this, his family, forget his family, his children, his grandchildren, his great-grandchildren, everybody is gone, wiped out. Okay? There's a different king. The sage says, now the kingdom that you had, the kingdom itself is gone. Vanga Desha is gone. It's a different Desha now. And it has this king. He's a descendant of your lineage, but he's a different. He's way ahead in your lineage. And on hearing this, Mahasena faints. Obviously, right? Because this kind of a shock, he's not able to handle, and he faints. What happens after he wakes up is next session. Turn it out. Interesting story.
Very interesting. It was like Inception only.
So
Like
how
one
is this possible?
minute.
Krishnaji, I want to read it once again, actually in detail.
Yeah.
Where can I find it? Can you help me with that?
Yeah, Tripura Rahasya. It's available on Google. You can just download the PDF version. The same version, PDF version is available.
Okay, I have. Yeah.
I know you want to, you're curious to see what happens next. You don't want to read the story.
No. I just want to, I missed actually some part of it. So I want to go through it from the beginning, to be honest.
Okay, yeah. So the story, this is the story that Bhagavan Dattatreya tells him. And it's not a fake story. It's a real story. And how is it possible? How can somebody create a world inside a hill? Can it happen in our time? Is it all real? All those questions are answered in the next part. And why this story in the first place? What is the whole point of the story? The question was, how can I experience the world as consciousness? And how the story becomes the answer. All of that is answered in the next part. Make sense?
Yeah.
Everything is belief. Okay. And the ancient rishis, yogis, tapped into the power of belief. Okay. And that is why, not only in India, in many parts of the world, there is record of saints who are able to heal. Okay. Jesus Christ is known for his healing and resurrection from the dead. All these are yogic capabilities. They are abilities of your mind. Why it is not available to your access now is because of your belief. If you encounter somebody who doesn't have that belief, then it becomes a reality in your life. You understand? And in India, there is another belief that it is possible to meet such a person. It is possible that a human being can be enlightened. That is why so many enlightened people are there in India. This belief is not there in the other parts of the world. In the other part of the world, the belief is only that person, only that prophet, that was a Messiah. After him, there's no more. But in India, there's a deep belief that God takes a human form. And that collective belief makes that a reality. You understand? The collective belief also directs your life. For example, there's a collective belief that America is the land of wealth. Okay, you go to Silicon Valley, start something there, you become a millionaire. Okay, or there's, when the social media was taking up, there was a collective belief in some people that through this platform I can become wealthy. Okay, and that's why you see so many influencers. You heard of something called as influencers? Influencer is somebody who has a certain number of followers, and that has an implication on income, on earning, simply because of the belief that this person had. The belief that I can influence somebody. You understand? So what belief do you carry about yourself? You have to look at the beliefs are of two types. Some empower you and some pull you down, shackle you. And predominantly, the ones that shackle you run your life. You think that consciously you have power. I am leading my life. But your beliefs are leading your life. And there's a complete blind spot to it. You don't know. You don't know that this is happening. You think some other person is abusing me. No, you are having that experience because of some beliefs that you carry. You think God, my karma is coming back to me, or God is doing this to me, or I lost my job, or something happened in my life, or I'm stuck in life. All that is in, out, not out in. You think some situation happened and I am reacting to the situation. No, you are creating the situation and reinforcing the situation, reinforcing the belief, which leads the situation to come back again. So have you observed in life, anybody who is around crosses over 30 years of life finds his observation. Whatever you are suffering was in your teens and 20s, which you had hope of coming out of when you were in 30s. When you come to your 30, you realize, although the external has changed, you are in a more powerful, you have money and probably in a more powerful position, but those pains and sufferings have again found a way to come back into your current life. Has anybody seen that? Shamtiji, Samitra, Regina?
Yeah. Most of the times, it's even though it's a new place, a new environment, but it's the same patterns that you see.
Same pattern.
The same triggers, the same kind of reactions.
And that is because of the belief. And they will continue until those beliefs are illuminated. You no longer have a blind spot on that belief. Now, how do you identify what belief is running my life? It's very easy. You know how? Samitra, you got the question? Shantiji, Beena, Samitra, you got the question?
Yeah, I got the question, but I never experienced that, whatever problems I had during my teenage or early younger years that came back after 30s. I never experienced, but yeah.
So now the question is, how do I identify what beliefs are operating me?
Okay.
How do I identify what beliefs are operating me? Is by holding on to the pain.
Mhm.
What hurts me? What
Okay.
what unfulfillment I have is the key. The pain, what hurts me the most is the key. The suffering is the key. When you hold to that and you hold on to that and go deeper and deeper, and you inquire,
Yep.
you will find the root experience where that was created. I told you, no, created date.
Yeah.
Either that, or if there's no pain, suffering, there's an aspiration, there's a hope, there's a desire.
Yeah.
Deep desire for something. Hold that desire and see what is the root of that desire. So both of them will lead to a inception date, an inception experience. And illumining that, becoming free from that inception file. In the case of suffering, will end the suffering. In the case of desire, will probably bring the desire to manifestation. Okay, so that is what happens. I'll give you a real life example. Recently, one of the big actors here in the southern India, he had a massive success, a worldwide success because of his movie. Okay, then he was interviewed. In the interview, they asked him, "How did you get this success? How did you come up with this idea, this movie?" So he told that he spent many years in failed projects. He did many projects that failed. Okay, that didn't give him the kind of fame that he wanted, kind of money that he wanted, a kind of power that he wanted. Okay, and then what changed? The interviewer asked, "Then what changed?" He told, "Then I met an astrologer. Then astrologer told me to change my name.
Okay.
Because your name is creating the problem. Change your name." And I changed my name. And my life, the very next movie that I did after that was a massive hit. And after that, my hits have been growing, my money has been growing. Now we will think, now this is not a praising of astrology. This is the understanding of belief system. How, what the astrologer did was, maybe he was a wise astrologer, he identified that the name has become a shackle.
Mhm.
You change the name, and this is what all the Gnanis do. So a Narendranath is made to a Vivekananda.
Yeah.
Okay. As Narendranath, he's conditioned. As Vivekananda, he's unconditioned.
Right.
As something XYZ, you're conditioned. But as Atmananda, Paramananda, Nityananda, you become, your consciousness shifts. You no longer
Right.
identify yourself when you're interacting with the world as that person. Now you're more powerful, you're more compassionate. Many things open up, capabilities open up. That is what happens in startups. Okay, an ordinary IIT guy, the moment who's 23, 24, 25, the moment he gets a tag CEO next to him of a startup, he becomes powerful. The name changed. You understand? The name, the identity change brings a different experience. This is the power of belief. Okay, but it cannot happen arbitrarily. It has to happen in a certain context, in a certain way. In this example that I told you of the act, he had a reverence. He went with reverence to somebody. He gave that position of power, and that person in the position of power gave him an uplifting belief. He could have as well given him a disempowering belief. He could have told, in your whole life you will never succeed. Okay, that would have become his reality. But for whatever reason, he gave him an uplifting program. You understand? So the secret of spiritual evolution is this shift in consciousness that is brought by the higher teaching. Any doubt?
No, Krishnaji.
Soumitra, is it clear?
Yes, Guru.
So changing your life is the easiest thing to do. Life has multiple aspects. There is health, there is wealth, there is relationship, and there is spirituality. Okay. Any other aspect I missed out? Health, which is your body, mind. Wealth, which is your finances. Relationship, which is your relationship with your family, society, job, and spirituality, which is Atmagna. So in health, you can have disease. In wealth, you can have struggle, debt. In relationship, you can have disturbance in relationship. In spirituality, you can have ignorance. Correct? This is the bottom of the part of the buckets. Now, our intention, our desire is to be on top part of the bucket. Health should be great. Mental health and physical health should be great. Finances should be, I should be financially free. Relationship, I should have a great relationship, loving relationship. I should have a great job, fulfilling career, and spirituality, I should be enlightened. Right? This is the best case scenario. Now, first thing is you to see what belief you have about it. Do you have a belief that you can have the best case scenario, all of them? I can have all of it. Is it possible? I can have the best health all my life. I can have financial freedom. I can have best relationships, and I can have Gana. Is it possible?
There are certain things that's not in your control, like your health. Of course, you can work out, have healthy food, but beyond that, it's not in your hand. So is the finances, but yeah, you can work towards all of these to keep them in good shape.
Yeah. So that is that a disempowering belief or is that reality? First of all, is that a belief, what he said, or is it reality?
It's a belief again.
It's a belief. That is why. So in India, we have so many yogis, okay, who are known to defy science. So that is not for us to aspire for that. It's just for us to look at our beliefs.
Yeah.
So the belief of, I'll give you a simple example. In the modern day science, there's a doctor called Dr. Daniel Amen. Okay. Dr. Daniel Amen, he's a doctor of the 4 most top famous people in the world. And these 4 top most famous people have 1 billion followers. How many? 1 billion. And he's a doctor for these guys. And he's a senior person, he's around 65. And he's a neurologist. And he has looked at more than 20,000 brain scans. And he tells there is no such thing as mental health issue. Okay? He tells everything is a brain health issue, not a mental health issue. So if somebody has depression, somebody has anxiety, popularly it's known as mental health. You have a mental disorder. He says there's no such thing. The mental disorder is actually carried in the physical brain. So in the physical brain, if it has some deficiency, some vitamin deficiency or some issue, some trauma because of head trauma, something in the physical brain is wrong, only then you experience that. Okay. Now he's bringing a shift by telling if you call your disease depression as mental health, then you're stuck forever, because it's an enemy that you cannot defeat, you cannot see, you cannot conquer, because it can come at any time, it can catch you any time. How will you stop it? Okay, but if you tell it is brain health, if you tell my depression is because my brain has less oxygen because I'm not breathing properly, then it's in my control. Okay, so the belief that I can take all of these aspects in my control is the empowering belief, is exactly what yoga is. Yoga means chitta vritti nirodha. It is the highest empowering belief. What is it? I can clean up my mess. Chitta vritti nirodha, meaning I can take control of my health, my mental and physical health. I can take control of my finances, and that's what all these success gurus are about. They're trying to shift your consciousness and bring your consciousness to a somebody who's financially free. And relationships, there yoga brings shift in that through yagna and bhakti and many other activities. And atmagna, ultimately realization of self. So all of this can be aligned, and it is in my control, is the belief. And that belief gives you a direction. And in that direction, if you are fortunate enough to get a living enlightened master, then you will transcend beliefs and become free from all disempowering beliefs. Your subconscious will get flushed from all viruses, and the realization that there is no other. I alone exist, and everything is me dawns. This is the journey. What I should address now, what I should focus on now, depends on what is my aspiration now, what is my pain now, and what is my seeking now. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
And that is why our ancestors always prescribed to go on Tirth Yatra. Have you gone on Tirth Yatra, Shanti?
Yeah, long back, I would say during my teenage years, yes.
Yes. So the idea of Tirth Yatra that they were talking about is when you go to Tirth Yatra is the only way at that time for you to meet a Gnani. At the Tirtha Kshetra, there was a Gnani, typically a Gnani, because of whom the Kshetra was Tirtha. So it is Tirtham Karoti Tirthani, meaning the person makes the place a Tirtha Kshetra, not the place.
Yeah.
Like the Buddha, Siddhartha made Bodh Gaya, not the other way around.
Right.
The Ramana Maharshi makes Tiruvannamalai, Arunachal, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So when you go to Tirtha Kshetra, there was an opportunity for you to meet a Gnani. And meeting a Gnani is an opportunity to come out of your belief systems.
Yeah.
It brings a shift in thinking, complete shift. And that same tradition is followed in our corporate world, right? There's an encouragement to go to conferences, an encouragement to upskill. So when you go to all these conferences, you meet people who are solving problems in a different way, which you could never have thought about by staying in your bubble.
Right.
So is there a place where the brightest, the greatest realized beings come together? That's what Kumbh Mela is supposed to be. Kumbh Mela is supposed to be where Gnanis are meeting. So you meet so many Gnanis. It's a conference of Gnanis. I don't know what it is now, but that's the idea. Soumitra, any doubts? Belief system clear?
One question, Krishnaji.
Yeah.
There are so many thoughts of schools, right? For example, one says Tattvamasi, one says you are what you believe, some says you are God. There are so many interpretations of it, right? So
No. There is not many. It's actually step by step. See what happens. Tattvamasi, ultimate teaching, all the scriptures, the essence is Tattvamasi. All Vedas, Upanishads, Mahabharata, Ramayana, Bhagavad Gita, every single scripture in Sanatana Dharma, essence is Tattvamasi. There's nothing apart from that. But depending on the stage of the disciple, the stage of the seeker, it's broken down. It's to communicate. Suddenly, if somebody is told, if somebody doesn't have maturity, if they are given the teaching, you're not the doer, that perverts the brain. Okay? Somebody is told, you are God. If there's no the prerequisite is not fulfilled, then it distorts the brain. Okay? The typical example is in the Satya Yuga, 3 people went to the Rishi's ashram for Gana. One was a human, one was a Devata, one was an Asura. Okay. And the Rishi told, and the Rishi is Brihaspati Acharya. Brihaspati Acharya, he was in deep samadhi. He opened his eyes. He only told one, not even a word. He told Akshara. He told that's all. Da. And he went back into samadhi. Now there were 3 people there. Who? Devata, human, Nara, and Asura. Everybody told, I understood. And they went. What did the Asura understand? Asura understood the as Daya. Okay? The Rishi had told me to be more compassionate because I am ruthless. The message for me is Daya, the human understood it as Dana. I have to do Dana because I'm very selfish. I have to do Dana. And Devata understood it as Dhamma. I'm always doing parties with Apsaras. I have to control my sense of it. Dhamma. That one Akshara, the, is misinterpreted based on predispositions. Okay. Now people come with various predispositions. All of them have to be handled. And Sanatana Dharma is the only system that handles holistically. Okay. From whatever stage you are in, no matter what stage you are in, there's a next stage possible and there's a final stage possible. So Tattvamasi, it's not a difference in school of thought. It is a lesson for a particular stage. Does that answer or any doubts?
That answers, but my question was more like, let's say, on a broader scale, there are all matured people, just for the sake of assumption right now. But still, there are so many thoughts about who exactly are you, right? I mean, when we look at this, there are majorly 3 bigger questions. First question is, who am I? Second is, what is my purpose? And third is, what is after this? Basically, after death. So any intellectual being or anybody who can think, process surroundings will have these questions in their minds. And to that level of maturity, we have so many answers. One says Aham Brahmasmi, one says Tattvamasi, one says you are energy, one says you are what you believe, one says that you are just a witness. So out of all this yous, what is exactly the you in this?
Yeah. So who am I is the question. There's only one question. That who am I? The later part, what is my purpose, depends on who am I. Okay.
Right.
What after this also depends on who am I. If somebody is left, then that person will have a purpose. That person will have a direction. But there's only one question. Who am I? There's no other question.
Yeah.
Okay, is that clear? Is it
Yes.
are we clear on that? There's no many questions. It's only one question. Who am I is the only question. And that who
Right.
is the question. There's no answer for that question. All of these, the teaching, the scriptures, is not an answer. It's a pointer to find the answer. Tattvamasi is telling you are that. Now there's a mismatch. You feel you're something. Okay, you feel I'm body, I am this identity, I'm confused. Then the teaching is saying Tattvamasi. There's no match. Then you have to find the match. The journey is to find the match. And finding the match is through Gnana. Find out who is that I. So you tell me, who are you? Do you have this question, Pamitra?
Oh, yes, every moment.
First of all, why do you have this question?
Because
Isn't the answer evident? I am Soumitra. Why is that answer not useful?
no, because my experiences does not let me prove that this is only about Soumitra.
When you say my experiences, there is already an answer for who am I. You're already identifying with some answer. You understand? Anything that you say, you cannot say without assuming a identity and believing that identity momentarily for the sake of conversation or whatever as me, as I. Now, what happens when you ask the question, who am I, without depending on any identity to answer the question? Without depending on any identity, any memory, any thought, nothing. Which is what practically Vedanta does. It proves to you memory is not real, identity is not real, thought is not real, nothing is real. So the implication of that is you cannot leverage any of that to answer the question, who am I? So when you ask the question, who am I? Only when you leverage some identity, some memory, some thought, can you answer the question. In the absence of leveraging any of that, who are you? Did you get the question? So ask the question, who am I? And see, without leveraging any thought, memory, because all of that is false. Memory is not real. It doesn't exist. It's just a record. Thought is again part of memory. No identity is real. I am not body. So all this is a background of finding the right answer, right? So Gnana is only this discrimination process. It tells you to take out what I'm not. Practically, it's removing the possibility of leveraging data. And data is everything: thought, feeling, emotion, memory. In the absence of leveraging data, what are you? Who are you? Don't even leverage the data, I am consciousness. That's also data. That's the last hope. Okay, the last hope that you can leverage as an answer is I am consciousness. I'm telling you, don't even leverage that. Then who are you? If you can't leverage any answer, including the answer I am Brahman, I am consciousness, can't leverage not as a restriction, Can't leverage because you see the futility of it. So when you inquire, who am I? There is no answer. The mind shuts down. Mind can't answer. Because mind is a bundle of answers. The mind shuts down. And then you sit silently. That's why Ramana Maharshi told, ask who am I? And sit silently. Any doubts in that, Samitra?
Hmm.
Is it clear?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
What part is not clear?
No, one answer creates another question, and it is a cyclic chain actually. So
No, the mind cannot give answers.
Hmm.
It's not one answer will create another answer. Or how will it? What is the answer? You tell me what answer mind will give. Body or not, mind you're not, thought you're not, emotion you're not, identity you're not. Then who are you?
that's my question actually.
That's my question is who is that my? The moment you say my question, you have already leveraged data. You see, the moment you say that's my question, you have already leveraged some identity called me.
No, but this question is also coming from some kind of data sets underneath me, right? So
That's fine.
The very
Just
first-
come for whatever reason. Now we're trying to find the answer. Now, if you this thing, the remove the question, then there's no problem. I have nothing to discuss. We sit silently.
Mhm.
The question has come. If you are saying that question also, I will reject as a data point. That's fine. Do that.
No, what I'm saying is, it seems to me as it is a never-ending loop actually.
It is not. That's what I'm trying to say. That never-ending loop is another belief that you have. When you say never-ending loop, you are perpetuating identity. You are in that statement that it's a never-ending loop. You are telling there is a seeker who will perpetually keep finding this question, answer to this question. But I'm trying to tell you that seeker who asked the question yesterday, who am I? And the one who's asking now, who am I? Is a different person altogether. You cannot ask who am I more than once. The next time you ask who am I, it's a different I. It's a different identity altogether. That is why the question is asked, who am I? It is targeting who is asking the question and realizing that the guy who is asking the question himself will disappear after the question. There will be nobody to take the answer. Even if you give a wrong answer, the one who receives the wrong answer is also not the guy who asked the question. You understood? You ask the question, who am I? By the time the mind gives an answer, okay, I am Soumitra, the guy who receives the answer is no longer the guy who asked the who am I question. Are you seeing the point there? But you think that there's one continuous entity called me who is asking the question. Today is asking, tomorrow is asking. I'll keep asking because none of these gurus, scriptures are helping me. The point of asking the question, who am I, is to realize that the guy who thinks he's there is not there. Every time it's a new guy, new Soumitra, including body. The body also is changing moment to moment. The body is not continuous. The body you had 10 years ago, every 8 years, all the cells of the body die and all the cells are new. Okay? Forget every 8 years. Every moment the body is changing. Mind is changing. Identity is changing. And what you call as me, I have a question. That guy himself is not there after it's said. It's a new guy now. New me. So have you heard our ancient people telling that our ancestors tell, you go to Ganga, you take a bath in Ganga, you become purified, you become enlightened. Have you heard that?
Yeah.
You know why they say that? How many times you can take a bath in Ganga?
Every time I go to a shore.
So the reason why they say that is you can never take a bath in Ganga. Because Ganga is a river. When you try to take a bath, you put your leg. By the time the leg touches, the water has changed. That water which you touched is gone. It's a different stream. And the leg itself, by the time it goes to the bottom, is a different leg. It is to help you. There's an embedding, there's a code in that message that you can never take a bath in Ganga. And when you realize this, because your body is constantly changing, the I thought, the one who went to take a bath and the one who took a bath are two different people, two different eyes. So who is there to tell I took a bath? Whoever tells I took a bath is referring to all that is not taken bath. And when you realize this, you become enlightened. That's why they told, go to Ganga, take a bath, all your sins will be washed out. Your sins will be washed out when you realize there is no continuous entity called me, who is a doer, enjoyer, experiencer, seeker. It's not a loop. It cannot be a loop. For it to be a loop, there should be continuity, right?
Mhm.
There should be a consistency. You tell me, what is the consistency when what you call as I itself is coming and going? Body is not continuous. Body is constantly.
Yeah. So Guruji, look, all these things really make sense when we are talking here or on paper or reading on scriptures. But as soon as I'm going and taking a dip in Ganga, the cold water is freezing me and I realize I'm Saumitra. So how does it really make sense in all these things, right?
No, it doesn't.
So my question and basically can put it as confusion also is that it will only make sense if I can make sense out of it.
Who can? Who is the right? Who can make sense out of it? The one whoever makes sense out of it will disappear the moment sense is made. It will be another guy. It will be another eye. There is no continuous entity who will hold that knowledge and stay forever.
That's what I'm calling it as an infinite loop, right? So that means every second, every moment, my thoughts are changing. I'm asking my questions and getting an answer to that. Everything is changing. So it is continuously infinite, isn't it? That's what I'm calling it as loop.
That is the first part. First part is to understand everything is changing, including I. Is that clear?
Yes.
Now, to hold the changing, there should be something unchanging.
Right.
If everything changes, then every moment I'm a different person. Right? Every moment I'm a different person. I wake up, I'm a different world, different. It's not like that. There's some continuity. There's something that is unchanging. And there is something changing. Okay? Now the problem is whatever is changing, you're confusing as the unchanging. What is unchanging is the real I. And the real I
what is that real I?
I'll tell you. What is unchanging is real I. And that real I, that's why you say, I was there 10 years ago, I was there yesterday, I am there today, I am there tomorrow. There's something unchanging and there is something changing. Now, the problem you're doing is that unchanging, you're superimposing on the changing. The body is changing. The body is changing or unchanging?
Changing.
Mind?
Changing.
Identity.
Changing.
The guy who's asking the question now.
Yes, changing.
Changing. Memory.
Yes, changing.
Now, in all of this, there's something unchanging that is giving a sense that it's one. It's stitching the thing together. And that unchanging has never, is just a presence that illumines all the changing. When you ask the question, who am I? You are destroying the ignorance of the intellect making the mistake of superimposing the unchanging or confusing the changing as the unchanging. When that ignorance is removed, what remains is the unchanging. The unchanging presence will prevail as Sat Chit Ananda. You understand?
Oh, yeah.
When you ask who am I, there's a reality, there's an illusion. There is a reality that is unchanging, and there's an illusion. And you yourself has a deep sense of I. So that's why the who am I is not just you know it because you've only heard it. You have to go through it from the master. The way who am I is done is you have an I feeling. So Ramana Maharshi, when he gives the who am I practice or enquiry, it's not practice, it's enquiry. He says focus on the heart center. This is called the spiritual heart, the center of the chest. When you close your eyes, become aware of the chest, center of the chest. There you have a feeling of I. See, if you have not, do you have a feeling of I?
Yes.
That's why you say I, right? I. So there's a feeling of I. Hold that I feeling. Hold that I feeling and high thought. And ask the question, who am I? Or just hold that I. And that itself will lead to the dissolution of the association with the changing I. Okay. And the real I is revealed. Now, the real I is revealed on its own. It cannot be caught. It's not an answer. It's not, it can be told in words. It's not an experience. There is a click, there's a recognition. This is it. Okay. And that this is it is what is popularly called as enlightenment. But in that this is it, there is also the recognition that this has always been it. I have never been anything else. Oh, this has always been it. And everything else was a dream. You understand? And that I have never changed. Then you still go back to the memory. Oh, I went and fell in that ground. But in that time, you will only recognize the unchanging. You will not recognize the changing. You understand what I mean?
Mm.
So hold the feeling of I and inquire who am I. Discard all that is changing. Whatever answer comes with the light of Gana, with the Jyoti, with the Atma Jyoti, that this is changing. Look at all that is changing. When you look at all that is changing, the changing falls. The secret here is to look at the subtlest of the subtlest, which is, oh, I am seeing that there is thought coming, answer coming. Then you get a thought, I am not getting it. Then you ask, who is not getting it? Constantly shift the focus on I. You understand? You have to shift, you have to be sharp on the I. The I comes up in many ways, tries to come out. It is a survival. That's called the ego. Okay? It comes up with answers, it comes up, tries to survive. But every time it comes, recognize that it's not the same one that came before. Every time it's new. But that new, whether it comes and goes, whether it doesn't come, there is something that is always there, and that is me.
But can we define? I mean, I got this conceptually, but can we define it in kind of very simple words? That, I mean, the reality which is unchangeable is what is me actually. So can we define it in better, easy words actually?
The simplest words is, this is the simplest word, I'll tell you. The simplest statement. There's nothing more simpler than this. And this is the final. Repeat after me. I am not the body.
Not the body.
I am not the mind.
I am not the mind.
I am not the intellect.
I am not the intellect.
I am not what I think I am.
I am not what I think I am.
I am pure awareness.
Pure awareness.
This is the simplest. This is the essence of all teachings.
Yeah, makes sense.
Now hold this
Last
thought and sit. Any thought comes, and understand the thought. The root of thought is identity. Some identity is there. No identity, no thought. Okay. Thought comes, catch the identity. Who? And tell it's not me because it's changing. I am pure awareness. And stay as pure awareness.
Right. Coming back to my question actually. So it was a bit of a funny one, right? But I understand this all conceptually. And as soon as I go and take a dip in the Ganga, as soon as the freezing cold water hits me, all this awareness goes into a different zone. And I come back to the realization that I am body because it is paining me.
Who is this I? Who is this guy who's asking the question?
No, it is not a question. It is an experience. So what I'm saying is I am going into the example wise, I'm going into Ganga and taking a bath over there. Now I understood all what you told, that I am pure awareness. All agreed, all accepted. But now, as soon as I take a dip in the water and the freezing cold water hits my skin, I immediately cannot hold to the thought that I am awareness, and I have to come to a point where I seem to think that I am body now.
So first of all, there is a hypothetical aspect to this question, and there's a so-called relative aspect to this question, right? The hypothetical aspect is Ganga. You're not in Ganga. You are at home, right? Let's come to the earth first.
Right.
Let's come to the present. So bring the mind to the present. In the present, first thing is there's no we, there's I. First, personalize the question.
Yes.
Talk about you. Don't put we into the context. Okay.
Okay.
With the present moment, present reality, and I. Rephrase the question.
Okay. Should I also rephrase it with the actual reality where I am right now?
Yeah. Rephrase.
Okay. Yeah.
Rephrase the question with now.
Yeah. So I am totally agreeing, and I have understood the point you mentioned about not being body, not being mind, not being intellect, not being memory.
Wait. Okay. Before you complete the question.
Yeah.
Because the question depends on this statement. I have agreed, I understood, I agree, it's logical, it appeals to me and all that. Who understood? When you say I understood, who is that who understood?
The awareness within me. No.
Awareness doesn't understand. What awareness understands?
My mind, basically. Yeah.
But you are not the mind. You said I understood. That means you are attributing understanding to the I.
Right.
That means you are also attributing there's something that I understand, something that I don't understand. Right? Who's the I? Who's the person who's understanding and who's not understanding?
No, that's what, when I'm contemplating all this, and when I immediately get hurt somewhere here, sitting in my room at my home, I
No,
come
forget
back
it.
to
Again,
the-
hypothetical. Right now, I'm there. I'm in front of you. I'm asking you.
Mhm.
Forget hypothetical. Do you have any guarantee that you'll live in another half an hour?
No.
Then how can you think that it will perpetuate? There'll be a time where I will have this question again. What guarantee that you have you will live the next minute?
No guarantee.
Huh? Do you have any guarantee you will stay alive next minute?
No.
Then how can you superimpose ignorance on something that might not be even reality? That's why don't go to the past, don't go to the future. Present moment. In the present moment, tell me who understood. You also tell, I'm understanding this question also. I know I see where you're going with it, but who is seeing who is where I'm going with it?
My own brain, my own intellect, right?
My what did you say? My intellect.
My brain, my intellect, yeah.
My brain, my intellect. The moment you say my brain, my is different, brain is different, correct? Like you say, my computer. It is mine. It is something that I own. It is not me, correct?
Mhm.
So intellect is a machine. It's like computer. Mind, body, it's all advanced computer, that's all. It is not me. Correct?
Yeah.
And what computer will understand? A computer will tell, show me a picture of a cat, it will show you a picture of a cat. Does it understand that this is a picture of it's a cat?
No.
There's some data matching and it tells this is a cat. Does it have any sentience to understand it's a cat?
No.
Okay, so that's a machine. Machine has a limitation that it has no sentience. It's only a data processing matching unit. That's what body, mind, intellect is. Okay, so that is definitely not me, and that's why you made the statement my intellect.
Right.
Forget the intellect part then. Now who's my, who's that me?
And that's what my question is.
Yeah, you know, give me an answer without any answer is fine. Any answer is valid. I will cross question. That's all. You told me intellect. I destroyed that intellect is a machine. Now tell me what else is there. What is mine?
No, then my relates to pure awareness.
But pure awareness has no questions. Pure awareness is pure. Pure awareness is infinite. Pure awareness has no problem. Why will it ask a question? Tell me. What is the point of pure awareness to tell? I understand. First of all, who will it tell? There's no other. So definitely is not when you are saying my, it's definitely not pure awareness. Because if you are referring to pure awareness, why does pure awareness need this understanding? Or the need to ask a question? It is pure. It will always be pure. It's birthless, deathless, it's pure, infinite. So when you say me, definitely you're not referring to the pure awareness. Who are you referring to when you say me? Now, tell me something, no?
No, that's what I mean. Then it is an endless loop, right? I mean,
No, there's no endless loop. It's a dead end. It's a dead. Who am I is not an endless loop. It's a dead end. It's a depth of all identities. For an endless loop to happen, there should be a perpetuation.
No, that I understood, Guruji, that you are that reality which is unchangeable. That I understood. But what is that exactly? Unchangeable thing is what I'm asking. So coming back to the question.
Yeah. So the what am I? Okay, what is that unchangeable? What is that pure awareness? It is just a pure deep silence. Okay. It is existence. It's called Sat. It is conscious, it is aware. It's not unawareness. It's a state of awareness, deep silence, clarity, crystal clear clarity that I am awareness, and crystal clear clarity that everything is an appearance in me. Okay. And bliss, because I have no restrictions. I have no containers. I'm not contained. Okay. It's a sense of bliss because there's no contain, there's no restrictions on it. What it is, you know, it's in your own experience, because in your deep sleep you are that. That's why it is the Upanishads say, I am Atma Brahma. I am Atma Brahma means it is not something that you have to learn, realize, no. It's already there in your experience. In your deep sleep, there is no questioner, there is no identity, there's no me, there's no mine. What is there in deep sleep? Pure awareness is in deep sleep. I'll answer, pure awareness is in deep sleep. What is pure awareness is what you experience in deep sleep. Now you tell me, what is in deep sleep? Do you feel infinite in deep sleep?
Zero.
Yeah, there's no concept of finite or infinite because there's no restriction. And that is infinity. That is called Ananda. Ananda doesn't mean infinity. The word infinity is a wrong translation. In Sanskrit, it's called Ananda. Ananda means Ananta. There's no Anta. There's no positive word for it. Just told there is no restrictions. You understand?
Hmm.
What else is your observation in deep sleep about you?
No observation. Pure bliss.
That is what pure awareness is. That is what you are. Everything else is a superimposition on that. It's like a mirage appearing in the desert. It's like an image on the screen. That is what you are.
Hmm.
Now the question is, how can I get that in the waking state? You can get that in the waking state by inquiry, who am I? Because what is blocking that in the waking state, or apparently covering that in the waking state, is the constant image creation of the mind. The screen is there. That is the reality even now. But the mind is constantly creating images as thoughts, feeling, ideas, I. Okay. Now the problem is these images are threads. Okay, they're habitual patterns of the mind. Now I'll ask you something there. If let's say this mind, and you know how many images it creates in a day?
Mhm.
According to scientists, modern scientists, over 70 to 80,000 thoughts, and each thought I'm referring to as image.
Mhm.
Okay, creative thought is a rendition. 70 to 80,000 renditions on the tranquility of deep sleep is what you call waking state. You don't have to remove 70 to 80,000 because you need 100 to identify toilet, to identify car, to identify job, to identify coding, to identify on the laptop. Okay, take 1,000. You need 1,000 renditions to operate in the world successfully. Yeah. Anything more? That means 79,000 renditions are waste of the body's energy, because rendition requires energy. Actual food energy is processed by the brain to render these images and thoughts and feelings. Okay. All that is done. Bulk 90% of your resources are used to render garbage, which is distorting your deep sleep experience. So enlightenment is waking deep sleep. The Gnani is able to talk, the Gnani is able to relate, use language, interact, but without the 79,000. Whatever is needed appears, disappears, appears, disappears. And there's deep clarity of reality and unreality. So your problem is not enlightenment. Please understand. That's the wrong belief that you have. You have no issue of enlightenment because you are already enlightened. And your deep sleep proves that. Your issue is the 79,000 renditions that are constantly, those images, those movies. Just stop that. And how do you stop that? One way is the answer that Shankaracharya gives is, repeat after me, Satsangatve, Nissangatvam, Nissangatve, Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve, Nischalatatvam, Nischalatatve, Jivan Mukti. So Nischala means non-movement of the mind. Non-movement of the mind is Jivan Mukti. How does that happen? Satsangatve, Nissangatvam. From the satsanga, from these kind of discussions, Shravana, Manana, and Nityasa, by Vedanta Gana, by association with the Gnani, the mind becomes nissanga. It starts dropping externally and internally. And what it starts dropping? This renditions. It starts dropping. And that dropping of the rendition brings nischala tattva to the mind. It makes the mind still. So your problem is not enlightenment, your problem is a still mind. That is covering the fact that you're already enlightened. And think about the mind. It's unreal. The 90, 70,000 or 1 lakh or 10 lakh renditions, whatever it renders, everything is unreal. When you understand that it's only unreal, the rendition stops. The rendering stops. Mitra? Is there or disappeared?
No, I'm here.
Is it clear?
Sorry. Was it not audible? Oh, no, it's clear, yeah.
Shantiji, Bina, any doubts?
No doubts, Guruji. Yeah, it's clear to me.
So, Soumitra, you don't have to focus on the endless loop. See, whatever you pay attention to will grow. The principle of life is whatever you pay attention to will grow. Okay. Your attention is the power that you have. And whatever you pay attention to, whatever thought, feeling, emotion, belief you pay attention to will grow. So
yeah, now there is a new wave happening on the social media of manifestation that influencers, people are telling about those things, right? So yeah, I mean, I get it. Yeah.
So you have to consciously pay attention to empowering. Your problem is not enlightenment. Whenever you get the thought of endless loop, you have to tell, I am pure awareness. Okay? And by logic, you have to play the advocate to your own mind and destroy the ignorance. Then there'll come a time where you don't need to do that anymore. It becomes crystal clear. Then the vritti, the gnana vritti, vidya vritti will become more. See, right now the avidya vritti is more. That 70,000 thoughts are avidya vritti. You understand what is a vritti? Vritti is a thought pattern. It's called avidya vritti. It's noise on your system. That noise on your system has to be transformed to vidya vritti. First step. Use a thought will come, use a thought, but shift from a negative thought to a positive thought, or from a disempowering thought to an empowering thought, or from a thought of agnana to gnana. Okay, this is what is called Atma Guru. The external guru comes to awaken your Atma Guru. External guru can't be there forever, right? At some point, your Atma Guru has to take over. The Atma Guru starts dissolving the avidya vritti. Then when the avidya vritti is dissolved, even the concept of enlightenment, mukti also dissolves with that. Because what remains is that pure awareness that you experience in deep sleep. That is your real state. On that, this is superimposing. You think that right now this is reality, I'm going into that. No, that is the background. On that, this is happening. You understand? Because the moment you remove these thoughts, what is left? That is left. Okay, and that you cannot remove. That is unremovable. Whatever can be removed is in the waking state. Okay, and you focus on the empowering, positive, the gnana. That only take care of everything else. So you hold the eye. Okay, hold the eye, sit in silence, close your eyes and hold the eye and ask, who am I? And dissolve all the renditions of the mind, identities, with gnana. And what will remain is a state of pure awareness. That's all. That will be your mukti. That is dead end. There is no going and coming into that. You will be free. You are already free, but these renditions are covering it. So we close for the day.
Yeah, sure, Guruji.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, Guruji. Thank you.